can actually see these blue markings, and they have the right distance from each other. So basically this one here is the center line. So the board itself is 1200 millimeters. So this is like 600 millimeters spacing. And on this wall I have 600 millimeter spacing, so it's really easy to screw it in. I don't have to make any markings. And these markings on the left and right, they are for the 400 millimeter spacing. In this bathroom wall I used steel framing, and these boards which you can see inside, they required 400 millimeter spacing. So as you can see here, this distance from the edge of the board to the next post is 400, 400 and 400, and the same over there. And with this timber framing it's 600. So one other thing to mention, as you can see here, these drywall boards around the door, I could have just used this post for the edge, but I wanted to have the connection or joint on top of the door instead of having it right on alongside this side here or the other side. And you shouldn't do that actually, because otherwise yeah, it's not recommended, because you might have cracks in the painted surface later. So it's always better to have this joint between two boards, well, somewhere here or on top of the door. So one other thing to mention is I'm using these spacings, so I don't want to have this construction board or drywall board directly in contact with the floor. So it's just I'm using these plastic ones, but you can buy a special tool for that to better lift the drywall. So for attaching the screws I'm using this drill bit, and it acts like a stopper. So as you can see here, these edges here stop the screw going through the paper. And so you can use the regular drill bit as well. Actually this is not completely the correct one, but it's without the guard. So then you just have to be a bit more careful. So you don't want the screw to stick out. So like that. So there is an edge sticking out, and all the painters are going to hate you. So try to keep them flush, or actually a bit deeper than the surface of the drywall. So yeah. So when you are going like too deep with this screw. For example, like that, you can see from the edges that you broke the paper. So now there is no holding power. Well, it's like it has some holding power, but it's not as much as is required. So this is not good. So I'm going to use this material on the walls in the kitchen, and all the outside walls I'm going to cover with this material as well. Yeah, it's compressed gypsum with recycled paper. You can see them here. And yeah, so they are more heavier, or just heavier than the regular ones, and I think they are perfect for the kitchen where you have like a lot of cabinets, and so you want to have strong construction boards. So it's, yeah, you can't like put your fist through this type of material, but it means that it's heavy. It's more difficult to install them by yourself, and it's a bit more difficult to cut it as well. So you can see here that on this wall I used standard drywall. So it was really easy to like install it. They are much lighter and yeah, it's easier to cut and manipulate, but this Fermacell took me much longer. Yeah, it's more difficult to cut these boards. You can use a knife. Fermacell has like a special knife. I use just my regular like utility knife. But it's sometimes if let's say you have like a narrow strip you have to like cut off, it's really difficult to break it, and the edge is quite rough, so it's probably better to use some kind of electrical tools. The best cut you will get is by using circular saw. For inside I think the best option would be a track saw. I don't have a track saw, but they have like better dust extraction, and when cutting it with circular saw there is a lot of dust. And the other option is to use a jigsaw actually. I have used it with just a regular like blade for wood, and you can attach your vacuum cleaner, and then it's quite okay to cut it. Of course the cutting edge is a bit rougher, but yeah, that's fine.